Now.
Well,
Yeah.
good afternoon, good evening. A slightly delayed start there. Never mind, just the usual technical hiccups like Llama's PC just going burst. Hope you're all having a good day. Hope you're all safe and well, and you're all getting ready for the festive period. On tonight's show, we look forward to Game Week 15. What decisions are on our minds? And also slightly further ahead, what's the thoughts on the best approach to the wee blanker that we've got in 18 and the double in Game Week 19? Over the next hour or so, we at that FPL lounge will try and take your minds off things that are bothering you, bring a wee smile to your faces. However, we will also have the usual question and answering service with this week's guest, and we implore you to get involved. So just sit back, relax, have a wee blether with each other in the chat as we open the lounge doors. I can't do this on my own. I've got the two ugly sisters in alongside me, known as Boona and Matthew. Good evening.
Evening. Just on that, I'm the better looking ugly sister.
Alright then.
You wish, mate. Good evening, guys.
Boona, I know you're feeling a wee bit down now. Are you alright?
I've had better days, mate. I've had better days, but we pushed through.
I know. Lou, listen, why do we not just crack in? There's a whole audience of people that we shall say hello to shortly, but we don't want to leave this guy sitting there in the waiting room. Let's get him in live, shall we?
Go on then.
Okay. Here we go. Brace yourselves. He's a stat man. That's the last time I'm ever doing that, by the way. On tonight's show, we've got one of the nicest guys in the FPL world joining us this evening. He is the king of FPL stats and the co-host on one of the most entertaining and informative podcasts out there, also known as the FPL Wire. He uses his research well, as rank-wise, he only went and finished 4th, yes, that's 4th place in the world in the 14-15 FPL season. He's a veteran of the FPL game with 10 seasons under his belt, and out with of that 4th place, he's also boasted a top 1.2k, a 20k finish, which means that in 7 seasons he's only been outside the top 100k just 3 times. With over 39 followers on Twitter, a game
39?
week thread. What?
With the 39 followers, or 39k.
39k followers. I thought I did say K. A game week thread connoisseur. He's always chilled out on the FPL wire. He's now even more relaxed as all his exams are now passed. However, I know that you guys and girls will test him this evening and pick his brains on all things FPL. As I said, sit back and enjoy the one and the only Bakar. Good evening, young man.
Good evening, man. Thanks for having me. Thanks for the lovely introduction. I'm truly humbled to hear such encouraging words about myself. So thank you. That's a very warm welcome.
Other than the blah 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 blah, blah at the start.
Yeah, what was that about? Oh my god,
was the
honestly,
scat-
you're gonna have to cut that out, mate.
That was the scat man. But I thought I'll make it the stat man. Oh, some people will have got it. I don't know. Alright, listen. We tailor to all audiences here. You've been a busy man already, Bakar. You've just came fresh straight from an Instagram stream. Yeah? Hello?
Oh no, it's not gone again, is it?
Yeah, his internet's been messing up. Let me.
And it's
Can you? Oh, he's back. He's back.
Bakar has had some internet issues, so we're hoping that it can get us through this evening. Bakar, you there?
yeah. I'm here. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, we've got
Aye.
you. We've got you.
Okay.
So we've had an absolute ton of questions that have been thrown at you, Bakar. So will we just crack in and get on with it then?
Sure. Let's proceed.
So for those of our audience that might not know who you are, who is Bakar? What do you get up to outside of Twitter and all things FPL, mate?
At the moment, I'm pursuing my chartered accountancy finals, so I'm studying for those. Other than that, I'm a qualified management accountant.
All right.
Yeah, presently I work for an auditing firm. So that's my
Excelente. I think Bakar's cutting in and out, isn't he? Or he is for me, I think.
Yes. It's for me as well.
We'll bear with. Bakar, if you can hear us, we will try and get through as many of these questions as we can.
can't you guys hear me?
No, it just
Yeah, I
seems
can.
Yeah, we've got you now. You there? Yeah, you're there.
Okay.
I can see you. It just seems to be cutting in and out a little bit, I'm afraid.
Yeah.
Is he gone altogether?
Yeah, one sec. Let me just move into the waiting room and bring him back.
Okay.
Sort of helped last time.
Sorry about this, folks. This is just what happens, unfortunately. Sometimes on a live stream, things go like this, and your guests...
Can you hear us now, Bakar?
Oh, this could be a weird one, unfortunately.
Can you guys hear me?
Yep, we got you back.
Yeah. It's working again.
Yes.
I think we should jump right into the question straight away before it goes away again.
Yes, let's do that. So, Buna, do you want to kick us off then with one of the Twitter questions?
Yeah, if I can bring them up, give me 1 second. So, we've got Abud99 asking, would love to hear a discussion on which is better, in your opinion, Bruno or Rashford and 1.5 million? Uh-oh.
That question's so hard it stumped him.
Yeah.
Take your time, Bucker, honestly. I know it's a difficult question. That's why I'd say time to think about it.
Just take your time, take it easy. Just answer it as you wish. Oh, that's a shame. It's just a shame that his internet's been playing up.
His internet, he's probably... There, he's back.
I couldn't hear the question, unfortunately. It started lagging when you were speaking.
Okay,
That's right. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you now. Please go
So
on.
the question was from Abud99, and he asked Bruno or Rashford and 1.5 million.
Bruno for sure. His numbers are far superior. I don't really see a comparison. Rashford in isolation is a great asset to own, but not at the cost of not owning Bruno. I think Bruno is a very good pick for the next few game weeks.
Excellent. What kind of manager would you best describe yourself as, Bakar? Just out of interest. Like, are you slow paced like Salah is, or are you a bit more maverick like late riser? Oh, no, it's disappeared altogether now. Right, hopefully Bakar will come back in a minute. I think what we could do, if you want, is just have a look at what we've been getting up to, shall we?
Oh, can we not?
Oh yeah, more than happy to do that this week. Can we start with Matt?
You can start
Yeah,
from that.
all these weeks where I've had good weeks, and this shit happens when I've had a crap week.
Well, Matt, just get it in about you. Although, oh no, I did beat you actually this week.
I think blooming everyone beat me this week. I had a bloody nightmare.
Yeah, go on then, Matt. Talk us through that disaster.
I've now know the secret to fucking up and derailing Spurs' season. Just get both their assets in, and then they're fucked. So for the rest of the season, I might keep both of them in, because then Spurs won't do any good. So happy days.
It was just weird. I done the same thing as you, apart from I don't have Kane, so I stuck the armband right round Son. I had it on Fernandes up until about 10 minutes before the deadline, right enough, but then thought, oh, sod that, I'll just put it on Son, just go for something a wee bit different. And, well, it came back and bit me in the backside, didn't it?
Yeah, tell me about it. So, other than the Grealish late returns and Bruno, I've pretty much got, like, Ethel, James and Chilwell.
How are you considering to overcome this nightmare of a team you've currently got?
Oh, I've taken a -8.
Have you actually?
Yeah.
Jeez, you've more hits than the Beatles.
Yeah, man. But it has been work. Do you know, my poor form has gone in line with me not taking hits, which is really fucking weird. I've not taken any hits the last couple of weeks, and my rank has just plummeted. But when I was taking hits, I was doing all right.
So what hits are you taking then?
I've taken James and Chilwell and Grealish out.
Hear us, Bakar.
Bakar? Is Bakar back?
Bakar.
Yeah. I'm
He
back.
is! Hello!
What's the next question? Quick.
I switched to the mobile internet, so I'm not sure whether this is gonna work, but I thought I'd give it a try.
Okie dokie.
Sure.
Shall we just take a step back, Bakar, and we'll just start again, shall we?
Sure.
Listen, from behalf of us at that FPL Lounge and all our guests that are in joining us this evening, it's an honour to have you with us. So just want to say thank you very much. We found out that you were just done your exams for your accountancy, to go down that profession, which is great. And now you'll be relaxed because your exams are all finished. How do you find being in the FPL public eye?
I am enjoying my time in the public eye. In fact, I feel so humbled, and I feel very grateful to receive such encouraging feedback, and I feel really privileged that people look forward to my reviews every week. It gives me a lot of confidence. So I mean, I'm truly humbled to get such recognition in the community.
Yeah, definitely, because your threads are golden. Every week we all read your threads just to get that last bit of insight before we make our decisions. So no, you need to keep up that good work. It's really good.
Thank you very much.
Buna was asking just before you cut off there, what kind of FPL manager are you? Would you describe yourself as a bit of a maverick, the same as your pal Late Riser? Or are you a bit of a slower kind of player, a bit like FPL Salah?
I'm actually a mixture of both. So I think you can call me risk neutral. There are times where I like to attack. For example, in the double game weeks, I usually tend to take excessive hits and go for as many double game weeks I can usually. But in general, I'm not too maverick. I usually like being safe, so I guess you can call me risk neutral. I'm neither risk averse nor am I too maverick.
Okie dokie. No, excelente. Buna, Matt, fire away.
Cool. So, Bakar, I got a lot of questions from WhatsApp groups that I'm in. As you can imagine, a lot of people asking about game week 18-19, which I know you've done to death right now with the amount of questions people have been asking. You've covered it on the FPL Wire this week as well. One of the questions was from Mahir Sardesai from one of my WhatsApp groups, and he said, City defensive double up. If yes, then who would you partner with Diaz?
Okay, this is a very good question. Firstly, I'd like to say that the City defense is a very good way of navigating the game week 18 and 19 blanks, because they have Brighton at home, Crystal Palace at home, so they're two very good fixtures for clean sheets. So even without a double, City are one of the teams which are basically helping FPL managers navigate game week 18 and 19. I think doubling up on them in isolation is a good idea, but if I was picking two of them, I would probably go with Cancelo and Diaz rather than Stones and Diaz, because I think Cancelo offers that extra bit of assist potential, even though he's a bit of a rotation threat. But the only reason why I'd be wary of doubling up on defense is because just in case there opens up a third slot. For example, we're gonna City have Birmingham, I think, right before game week 18 in the FA Cup. So we might get some clues regarding the City lineup as to who might start. So just in case you'd want to punt on one of their midfielders, or even someone like an Aguero, I would probably back off from investing in two of the City defenders. So I'd probably go with one. I think Diaz is enough.
Cool.
Interesting. It's quite funny that, because Charlie, one of the guys we've got in the chat just now, him and I were having a right good chat the other day there in Discord, And we thought Stones was quite a good option for 4.8 anyway, which was a good way to get into that City defence. So it's interesting. You wouldn't go near Stones, that's what you were saying, eh?
There's some really Bakar, are you still there?
Yeah.
Cool. So there's people asking loads of different questions regarding this game week 18 and 19 regarding the use of free hit, the best use of free hit, and I know you've gone over it, but just to give you an example, I had 2 questions from the same WhatsApp group from Annie and Shitij. Annie was asking free hit in game week 19 or later. Since nearly all teams have double fixtures, won't free hit be more helpful later?
That's
And
a good
Shitij
question.
said, is game week 18 the best time to use the free hit chip? If yes, please suggest key players. I think we can wrap those. There's going to be loads of questions coming up like this. I think we can all wrap it up in one answer. What would you say to something like that?
Yeah. So basically, this is basically what everyone's been asking as to what the best route is to tackle the game in 19 blanks, 18 blank and 19 double. Personally, I think first I'd like to address the second question that you asked, that which are the key players to own heading into game week 18. I'd like to say that De Bruyne, I guess, against Brighton is probably going to be in everyone's team. A City defender is highly recommended because, as I said, they have good fixtures in 18 and 19. Other than that, I'd say that I'm assuming Villa and Spurs play each other, so a lot of FU managers are likely to have Martinez, Grealish, maybe at least one of Son and Kane. It's basically a core of these 5 or 6 players that you're gonna have. So now, when you ask me whether you should be free hitting in game week 18, you should be asking yourself what is the value addition which the free hit will bring to your team, because these are the 6 or 7 players which are likely going to be in your team anyway. So this is why I don't really like the idea of free hitting in game week 18, because I don't think the value addition or the upside is as big. Because when I look at the fixtures, I mean, they're very unpredictable. Newcastle, Sheffield, Arsenal, Crystal Palace, I mean, Wolves, Everton, they're all sort of iffy fixtures. You can't exactly bank on those fixtures to give you, a lot of points. The only way I can see someone making, a good ground in game week 18 through a free hit chip is if they triple up on City attack and City absolutely dismantle Brighton. Other than that, I think everyone is going to have more or less the same group of players, and this is why I don't think the idea of free hitting in game week 18 is as good as it may sound on first glance.
Yeah,
No, that's brilliant.
I heard you saying that on the wire the other day there, and that was the first time I'd actually kind of heard, that mentioned, just to leave the chip. And then I looked into it and I thought, you make it's a really valid point, isn't it, Buna and Matt?
I completely agree. I've been saying this all along, though, but my situation's a bit different, Bucker, because unfortunately I wasted my free hit chip earlier in the season. But I've had to adopt the same sort of thinking that, like you said, there are 5 or 6 core players that most teams are going to have.
Yeah.
If I can, field 7 or 8 players and then also have a focus on the double game week, I think that's probably the optimum strategy for me, because the other players that people are going to fill their teams with, no one in there really sticks out.
No.
It kind of goes into this question of what Dredd says. Like, who else outside the City defence would you choose in the blank game week 18?
Maybe
So who would you
Spurs
actually
defender,
choose? Mm.
maybe Kane and so on. It depends. If you're free hitting, then you're probably thinking Spurs, City, maybe some Palace, and maybe one defender out of Sheffield United, Newcastle. You guys were talking about Sheffield United and Newcastle on the pod. Was it yesterday or today? I listened to it, and that could go either way, couldn't it?
Absolutely, it's a very hard one to call. I mean, it's a sort of game where you'd feel confident if you were a Callum Wilson owner, or even if you were a owner of someone like, a Baldock. You'd feel confident of some returns, but you never know which way it's going to pan out. And same with Arsenal versus Palace, because you never know with Arsenal these days. Even though it looks like a good picture on paper, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if if Palace were to win that game. So,
Yeah, me
I
too.
mean, where are the points going to come from? This is this screams like a low-scoring game week to me.
I completely agree.
Matt, I never asked Bakar, by the way, to just throw the boot into you as an Arsenal supporter. So thanks for that, Bakar. That's brilliant. I love it.
They used to like you, Bakar.
So there's a couple people asking a similar question. I'm going to wrap them together as well. So we've got a question from Durdon_A_who on Twitter, who asks, is a Liverpool defensive double up back on? If so, who misses out? Essentially what he's asking there is, it's unlikely we could go 4 premiums in that scenario and have the double up in defence. So his first question is like, with that said, who would you lose? If so, who misses out, he asks, from the premiums.
I think it's definitely back on the table because Liverpool from now on with their fixtures, I think they're gonna bring quite a lot of joy to fantasy FPL managers over the next 5 game weeks or so. I think at least one Liverpool defender is a must going into this run. Personally, when you consider that they have West Brom, Newcastle, Burnley, and like 3 of their next 5, I mean those fixtures can get any better. If you're asking me which premiums miss out, are you referring to the likes of Chilwell or James, or
No.
what exactly?
So I probed him on Twitter, and he was
Yeah.
referring to midfielders and strikers, because his second part of that question was also, does going double defense cause a need to move back to a 3-5-2? So he's referring to more premium attackers like in midfield and strike.
I think the likes of, okay, this is a very interesting question because I think the likes of even someone like a Grealish can be sacrificed. Because when you look at Grealish, Aston Villa have Chelsea, United, Spurs, Everton, game week 16 to 19. I mean, if you take those funds out and invest the same funds in a Liverpool defender, I think they can offer better value.
Yep.
I completely agree. I haven't got any Liverpool at the moment, so.
Just to let you know, chat, don't worry if you've not sent in a question, but you've got a question that you'd like to ask Bakar, you can either join us live in the studio. You're welcome to do that. One of the mods will put the Discord link in the chat for you, or it's Matt's chat, as we like to say. So Matt will be going through the kind of live chat as Buna and I go through the questions. So you've got lots of opportunity whilst we've got Bakar here for the next half an hour or so to get your questions in. Bakar, there's a lot of people asking me in the chat to ask you this question because we ask all our guests this. So we'll go through it just quickly and then we'll dive back into the community questions. It's the final seconds of a Champions League final. You're through on goal, you're 1-on-1 with the keeper, and you're about to lace your boot through the ball. However, out the corner of your eye, you see a striker, your partner, right next to you. You know if you pass it, he can't miss because it's an open goal. But Bakar, it's you that's got the ball at your foot. So what are you doing? Are you smashing or are you passing?
That's an interesting question. I'd probably pass just
Hey!
to.
Finally, I got one right. Finally.
Oh, so good, so good. It's good to see that you're passing. I would pass myself.
Yeah.
Buna would lace it.
I mean, the amount Bakar assists people with his stats on Twitter, I knew this answer all day long. He was passing.
So Buna, let's dive back into the Twitter sphere because I know that you were hit with a lot of questions today.
A lot of similar questions.
There are a lot of similar questions. I sneaked one in there as well, if you noticed.
Yeah, yours kind of ties in as well. So that last question that I asked you, Bakar, Anand from FPL Escapades asked a very similar question about the double Liverpool defence. And then Lama also sneaked a question in himself. And he asked Robbo or TAA. And I know where you're going with this because you tweeted about this today. But carry on. Feel free to answer that.
It's Robertson all day for me. As you said, I posted a tweet earlier in the day, and Robertson is basically outstatting him for chances created, big chances created, touches in the final third, goal threat, basically everything this season. which is very very surprising to someone who's observed their stats over a period of 2 to 3 seasons. Because last season Trent was by far and away the better defender statistically.
Yeah.
This season things seem to have changed, and Robertson is the superior defender, not in terms of his FPL score, but also in terms of his underlying stats. So if I was picking one, I know Trent is the differential, but I would still go with Robertson.
Okay. No,
Do you
thank
not
you.
think do you not think Trent's health in pre-season and COVID and everything's played a part in that though? And do you not think that now he's starting to show positive signs and that it could change around? Because from my perspective, Trent is more of a defensive liability than Robbo. So do you think we could see a switch around, or the stats currently just don't suggest that?
Um, Knowing Trent's pedigree, I won't be surprised if the change occurred, but I'd like to see a bit more evidence before I can, predict that it's going to happen. Because even in the game against Palace, where both of them started, Robertson had the better numbers.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Robertson created double the number of chances that Trent did. So far we've seen nothing to suggest that things would change.
Okay.
Very
No, thank you
interesting.
very much for that. I think the reason that I wasn't 100% on who to go for was kind of what Buna had just said there, in that obviously, TAA didn't, had his kind of issue at the start of the season, etc. So essentially, he's had a rest. Robbo's played every game going, pretty much. So I was kind of thinking, would I be better just getting in TAA instead? But like you say, the stats are back in Robbo, so it might just be stupid to go against that. So no, thank you very much for that.
We got a couple of
We've got quite a
questions
few
from the chat.
questions in the Yeah, exactly, Matt. Go for it, mate.
We'll do this as a two-pronged one. We got one from Penguin and one from One Rovers Vlogs, Charlie. And that's, what are your best three West Ham assets for the double game week? And then Charlie with the best three Leeds assets from the double game week.
Ooh.
So that
Right,
is
so
very interesting.
All right. So if I was picking three West Ham assets right now, okay. So this is obviously news dependent because we don't know whether Antonio is going to be fit
Yes.
or not. If assuming that he's match fit by game week 19, I would pick Ufal, Suchek, and Antonio. But I don't think that he's going to be match fit by then. It looks unlikely with the news we have so far. Um, So basing it on the information we have available, I'd probably say that doubling up on West Ham defense might not be actually a bad idea, because I think that out of all the cheap defenses who play in game week 19, they have the best set of fixtures. So I think that Suchek, Kufal, and one of either Creswell or even Fabianski, those are the three I would go for if I was picking. If I was on a wild card, for example, right now, those are the people, those are the players I'd go for.
Excellent.
And what about Leeds? What would you reckon for Leeds if you had to pick three?
Okay, so as far as Leeds are concerned, I've been noticing this for the past 4 to 5 game weeks that their attacking numbers have been really impressive throughout the season, and no matter what opposition they're up against, I'm very very confident of Leeds scoring in any fixture, regardless of the opposition. But the defensive numbers have actually collapsed over the past 4 game weeks, and they're almost conceding double the number of big chances per game than they were in the opening 10 game weeks. The stats have regressed. So I think FPL managers need to be a bit more realistic in their expectations when it comes to Leeds defense. I don't think Leeds are going to keep a clean sheet in the double game week, which is why I am not really a big fan of Dallas or Ailing. Even though I have Ailing in my squad, I'm probably going to keep him, but I don't have too many expectations from him heading into game week 19. So when I think of Leeds, I think of attack straight away. Rafinha is posting some really good numbers. He's having he's right up there for shots inside the box over the past 4 game weeks, and we saw he got a couple of assists against United as well. So he looks class. Then there's Bamford, who's had good numbers all season. So the two main picks for me would be Rafinha and Bamford. Those are the two I would definitely target. Other than that, if I was looking for someone, I would probably get Dallas, I think, but that would be more in hope rather than expectation.
No, brilliant. Thank you very much for
That
that.
really ties in with one of my next questions for you, Bakar, from at FPL FOM on Twitter. He says, "Would love
Yeah.
to hear the big man's thoughts on Rodrigo as an option from now to the doubles over the likes of Adams and Wood, who I know you've got a very soft spot for."
Thing with Rodrigo is that he seems to blow hot and cold, and like he's not really dependable as a as a forward, as an asset, as an FPL asset. I'm not too sure he's too dependable because as you witness so far, the points are spread around in the Leeds attack, and I don't really think um, Rodrigo is like is going to be too heavily involved in their attacking play. I mean, his numbers are sometimes they're impressive. Sometimes he's nowhere to be seen when I look at the numbers. So he's not really a dependable asset. So when I look at forwards, I think other forwards offer um, far better value in terms of their productivity. I like Adams. I think Southampton's fixtures are deceptively good. In the double game week, they face Leicester away and Leeds away, and I think those are exactly the kind of fixtures which are going to suit Southampton. I expect them to hit both them teams on the break, and I expect Adams to be involved. Um, in that price bracket, I think Adams is probably the best one to look at.
Excelente. Faris in the chat asks, who should I remove for Salah in this midfield, Bakar? KDB, Bruno, Son, Bowen, Grealish. And he's trying to make way for Salah.
So ideally, as I mentioned earlier, Grealish is expendable after this game week because he has Palace. So ideally, I think Grealish is the one who should make way. And obviously, given that Salah has West Brom this week, Salah is obviously, I think, more or less, he's the best captaincy option, so he's more or less essential to have this week. The problem is that Grealish has a very good fixture this week himself. So even though long term, I think selling Grealish is a good option, I think this week is much trickier. If he can afford to sell Bowen, I would rather sell Bowen because I don't think he's going to be a dependable source of FPL points.
Yeah.
If he can sell Bowen, then that's an easy move. But if he can't, then I would sell Grealish.
I'm just wondering where the rest of his money's coming from with Bowen.
That's what I was trying to work out.
Yeah. Cool. Buna,
I've got one for myself, really.
Alright, go for it, Matt.
Obviously, you're quite stats orientated, Bakar. But do you find yourselves looking at stats less now that you can actually watch all the games? Now they're not bulked together; they're all quite spread out. So more of the eye test, or do you still like zone in on stats?
I like having I like having making my decisions based on both. I don't really make my decisions solely based on stats or solely based on eye tests. When I get the time, I usually watch the match of the day as well, just to make sure that the eye test is supporting the numbers that are coming across. So I don't think there's one way of doing it. I think you shouldn't be doing one without the other.
You know, I think match of the day is kind of skewing things though, because you'll only see the positive things in there more often than not.
Yeah, that's true. That's a good
Yeah,
point.
that's a very good point as well. And yes, it's more or less more or less it highlights those players who tend to get a lot of goals and assists. But that's what I have the numbers for. I tend to look at the things like
Yeah.
XP for underperformance and big chances and those kind of things to make sure that I don't miss any relevant information which I'm supposed to quote.
Fair enough. Got a question from Bantia from Twitter, and he asks, "I'd like to ask Bakar that do I go Vardy over Kane for on his game week 16 wildcard and just have Son from Spurs?"
I'm trying to work that question out.
I'm glad I wasn't the only one.
What is he saying?
I mean,
Bruno?
that is pretty straightforward. What do you lot not understand? He's basically saying, should I get Vardy instead of Kane and not have a Spurs double up and just have Son from Spurs?
Okay.
All right, okay.
So basically, it's a question between Kane and Vardy from game week 16 onwards, right?
Yeah.
I would. The thing is that if I was on a wild card, I would 100% go with Kane. I mean, with Fulham at home, Leeds at home, game week 16 and 17. I mean, you'd be kicking yourself if you didn't pick Kane on those fixtures on wild card. I just think those fixtures are too good. Even though Vardy's fixtures aren't that like bad either. Crystal Palace, Newcastle, away in 16 and 17. I just think that Kane has the higher ceiling, so I would rather go with Kane.
Brilliant. Thank you, bro.
We got Anderson in the chat with an interesting one, and it's another chip question. Is it worth triple captaining Salah this week?
As much as I think Salah is going to smash it this week, and I don't think I'd play the triple captaincy in a single game week, regardless of how good the fixture is. I like playing it in double game weeks just for the security, because at least you know that even if things don't go in your favor, you're likely to have a ceiling of like 4 to 5 points bare minimum. Sorry, a floor of 4 to 5 points bare minimum. So I mean, if you're looking at Salah triple captain, I think game week 19 might not be a bad shout when Liverpool face United and Burnley at home.
Yeah. But was it yourself that said that on the podcast during the week? That was tempted? Yeah. I thought it was yourself that said you might be tempted with the triple captain on game week 19.
Yeah. Absolutely. I also quoted that Liverpool have like a week's rest before the United game.
Mm-hmm.
So like Salah is definitely expected to play both those fixtures because he'll be fully rested, and I mean it's a good shout because there won't be any rotation threat as well, and if Liverpool are in form, then Salah at Anfield is always a good shout.
Yeah. No, see, I've been talking about this during the week, and I think one of the guys that was in Discord alongside me was trying to talk me out of it by saying that his stats against United and Burnley aren't the best. But I don't know, you've just got to go with your gut, haven't you? I think it's too good an opportunity to miss, though. As you say, he's got a week's rest and then coming hard at it with 2 quick games. I think it's as good a time as any, to be honest. Brilliant.
What else happening in the Twitterverse?
We got 2 more questions. We would have had a lot more if I didn't wrap like 8 of them into 4 questions, but a lot of them were quite similar, so I thought that made sense. So this question is from FPL_DR, aka Doctor, and he asks, TAA or Robertson and a budget defender. Obviously, he's not really elaborated on budget, but let's just say maybe 4.6 Sufal kind of level and below.
Okay.
I presume that would make sense. Or Matip and Cancelo.
Okay, so the question is basically the Liverpool double up and the budget defender versus Matip and Cancelo.
No,
is that the question?
No. So one of TAA or Robertson and a budget defender, or Matip and Cancelo.
Yeah.
Okay, I would definitely go with the former. I think the Liverpool defender and Sufal are far superior. I don't think it's even close.
Absolutely. And the final question from Twitter was from Abud99 again. And he asks, would love to hear about the craziest 1 week punts for people on Wildcard 16.
I would actually suggest El Ghazi this week. I don't think he's a bad shot. He's on penalties. He's right up there for shots inside the box, big chances. Over the past few weeks, Villa they seem to be a really good attacking side this season. They create plenty of chances in every game. So I think if you're wildcard in game week 16 and you need a punt, then you need to look no further than El Ghazi this week.
Interesting, I like that. Funnily enough, that was another name that cropped up in the middle of a Discord chat this week. What else is happening? What was going to actually say there is, obviously, I think there's a few more questions that are cropping up here and there, Matt, through the chat. But if anyone does want to pop in and ask Bakar live, we'll probably be here, for the next 15, 20 minutes or so, before we'll wrap things up, because obviously we're aware of the difference in time, etc. So, and we kicked off a little bit later. So we appreciate your questions coming through the chat, and we'll try and get through them as best we can. But if you do want to come in and ask Bakar live in the studio, you're welcome to do that. Matthew?
We've got an interesting one here from Eric. With all the information and tools available to casual FPL managers today, what are some things us managers can do to excel to succeed in the current climate? Pretty much like, what can you add to your Excel spreadsheet?
This is actually a very, very interesting question, and this is exactly why it's actually harder to get at a top 10K rank of late, because with the rise of FPL and social media, it's very, very hard, because a lot of managers, they seem to get access to a lot of information. I think if you plan the double game weeks and blanks properly, I still think there's a window where you can gain a lot of ground over the casuals, because as much as they have access to information, I don't think they're as plugged in as the average FPL manager on Twitter is. So I think if you plan the double game weeks, the chips well, I still think there's some room to gain ground.
And I think there's a lot of people as well, Bakar, especially at this time of year, miss out on all like the kind of early deadline dates, times and stuff like that.
Yep, absolutely. With the quick turnarounds, it's very hard for people. People tend to miss one or two deadlines.
No, definitely.
In other words, hard Christmas, FPL's more important.
I had an interesting question from Paulie earlier, and it's not one that you can give a definitive answer to, but as you know, Ancelotti said about a week or two ago that DCL will be rested at some point, didn't he? Or he alluded to that fact. And Paulie asked, Ancelotti he obviously said that, he said he starts tonight against Man U, so is there a chance he's benched against Sheffield United on Saturday, seeing as their game after is against Man City?
Ancelotti did come out and say, didn't he, about it? He said he was going to get benched and rested at some point over Christmas.
I mean, there's a chance he might get rested in that case, but I mean, the more pertinent question is, would you sell him on the presumption of a rest? I don't think I would, because if he starts against Sheffield United, then he can easily score a couple of goals. So I mean, I won't be selling Calvert-Lewin on the basis of this presumption. If he gets rested, then so we'll just bite the bullet and move on.
Yeah, I mean, if I'd owned him at least once this season, then maybe I would, I probably wouldn't be selling him. I've been saying this on Twitter for the last 2 weeks, though, Bakar, because unfortunately I've been a bit stupid this season with my transfer decisions, and I've gone without some key players, including one of which was Dominic Calvert-Lewin, who I thought would eventually stop scoring. But I've been selling people because everyone's like talking about getting rid of Calvert-Lewin, and I just don't understand. Like, the guy keeps returning and he's in form. Why would you get rid of him? It's not like he's 12 million.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and his stats are really impressive as well. He's like still, despite what we keep hearing about Everton and Ancelotti, that they have reverted to this defensive style of play. Calvert-Lewin is still top for big chances of all players in the league in the past 4 game weeks. So it's not as if he doesn't have the numbers.
Yeah, no, exactly. Nima's saying in the chat, Bakar, I really like that 1 week punt for game week 16. So what about I do Grealish to El Ghazi to fund a move for Chilwell to Robbo? Or should I just stick to the plan of downgrading a bench player by 0.5 million and just play Grealish? What do you think about that one, Bakar?
I mean, it depends on who the bench player is, so that I can get an idea of the question. But I think, in isolation, I don't think that going with El Ghazi and Robertson this week is a bad idea at all. I think it's a good idea.
No, definitely. Then Jacob pops in at the back end of him there to say, I'm just here to show my love for the greatest FPL channel going. Well, thanks very much for that, Jacob. If you are new here, this is what we get up to. It's usually on a Thursday night, but we thought since it was Christmas, we had Luke Jerdy on at the start of the week, and now we've got the big man Bakar himself here with you this evening. If you are enjoying it, please like the stream, it's greatly appreciated. And if you are new around here, why not just click the little inject emoji that you might see on the bottom right of your screen and hit us with a subscription. That way you'll know when we're going live if you polish the wee bell kind of thing. Matt, what else is happening chat-wise?
That is pretty much it in a minute. Get your questions in, guys. What are you doing?
Let's talk about the game week upcoming.
Yes, we can do that. Or I've got Bakar's team. I've got your team here actually from game week 14. I don't know, Bakar, do you want to let the chat get involved or know what you're up to for game week 15?
No, I don't mind. I don't mind sharing.
Letting everyone into your secrets.
I don't have any nuclear secrets involved with my FPL team.
Right, so if you're watching the screen now, Bakar, it might take a couple of seconds just for it to pop up live in front of you. But as it's settling in, Bakar had a really strong game week 14 with 83 points, and that was playing a 3-4-3 with Martinez in goal on 6, Kilman on 1, Robertson on 10, Chilwell with 1 point. The 4 across midfield were Salah on 16, Zaha on 2, Fernandes captain on 34, and De Bruyne with 5. The front 3 were Calvert-Lewin on 4, Watkins on 2, Bamford on 2. It's a really good game week, Bakar. You must have been happy with that one.
Absolutely, I was really happy with how things went, but at the same time, it ended up with the West Brom Villa game. I was infuriated as a Watkins owner because, I mean, I don't think I've seen a bigger points dodger in FPL history. It's just infuriating to watch him week in, week out. To be disappointed time and again. It's just absolutely infuriating. But other than that, I was very happy with the way things went this week.
Yeah, no, the team's solid, but you've now, unfortunately, got yourself a little exclamation mark above Chilwell's head. Is he on your exit plan this game week?
Yeah, so fortunately enough, I have 2 free transfers, and Chilwell and Lamptey are the obvious concerns in my team as at the moment. I'm eyeing up a move from either Chilwell to Diaz or Lamptey to Sufal. So I mean, I'll be making one of the 2 moves. I could even make a move for both if I feel like it, given that I have 2 free transfers. I think that would help sort my defense out going into this game week 18 and 19 fixture run.
No.
How much longer are you going to give Watkins as well in that team? Because he's flattering to deceive at the minute, isn't he?
Yeah, so the plan with Watkins is that I have basically accepted that, that now that I've chosen him, I've made my bed and I'll just have to lie in it. I'll probably sell him in game week 18, after game week 18 for Che Adams, I think. As I alluded to earlier, I think Southampton, they have some good fixtures in game week 19. So I'll probably sell him for Che Adams at some point.
Yeah, no, see, I've got a Southampton double up, but I was just hearing this afternoon that Vestergaard's got fluid in his kneecap. Is that right? Did I read that right?
Yeah. Vestergaard's a bit of a doubt, although Hassan Hutel said that we still think he could be okay, and Armstrong's also a doubt. So I'm just thinking about it. Like Southampton could be a little bit weakened this weekend, and it does put me off their options a little bit. But
because there was a lot of folk
nothing's
There was a lot of folk moving in for Bernerac, wasn't there? Bernerac,
Bednarak, yeah.
Bednarak.
Yeah, because he went up there. Sorry, Matt.
I was going to say, we've got James in the chat asking another question. What in the world do I do with Reece James and Chilwell? He has 1 free hit, 0.4 in the bank, and a terrible defence. but he still has his wild card.
Wouldn't you be the best one to answer that, Matt? Didn't you have both of them this week?
Yeah, use your fucking wild card.
Just looking at that team again, Matt. That's a lot of exclamation marks you've got there, mate.
What do you
Yeah,
think
we'll
about
go
that
for that.
situation anyway, Bakar? Both of those players.
I would, if I was in that position, I would probably sell. If he can get 11 players out with selling one, then I'd sell one. But if he needs to sell two to field 11, then I'd sell both.
Yeah.
Particularly given that he has a wild card in hand, then it's an easy sell.
100% agree. We've got Eric in the chat as well. Big man, since I used my first wild card already, what do you think of Salah triple captainship played in game week 19?
Love
You did
the
say
idea.
you liked a
Love
double
the
game
idea.
week.
Absolutely love the idea. Love the idea. Might be going in it with the triple captaincy myself.
Yep.
You got the stamp of approval from there, from Bakar.
I know, and I was getting that stamp earlier when Bakar said it with Salah, and when I heard you say it, Bakar, on the podcast the other night there, I was like, yep, that's it, it's done, it's dusted. Salah's getting my triple captainship in game week 19.
Yeah, watch him miss a penalty now.
What's that, sorry?
Oh, watch him miss a penalty against United now.
Yeah. Oh, that would just be that would just be exactly how it goes. Can't be any worse though than a couple of seasons ago. Was it not the whole Duncan Duffy thing for a double game week?
Oh, please
disaster.
don't, please don't
Oh,
remind
my
me. Don't
goodness.
open up that.
And then
Oh my goodness.
and then you had what was the one last season? The left winger for City. Sane, yep. We've had
That was the season before, wasn't it?
we had a Sane episode.
Last season was Mane.
Oh yes,
Yeah, as well.
triple captainship, 3 points, thank you.
Andy Carroll all those years ago.
What's that? Sorry, I just missed the tail.
Andy Carroll.
Oh
Andy
yes.
Carroll's all those years ago. Yeah.
So what I was going to do, Boona, like what you were saying, we'll go through with the chat and also Bakar and pick out any kind of key games and stuff that you think we should be looking at this kind of game week. But what I was going to do first was make those new to us.
I was going to say, Lama, can you bring up the Lit League?
Yeah, that's what I'm just.
Please.
That's what I'm just doing just now. So Bakar, you are welcome to play in this if you wish. If you weren't aware, what we've done, Bakar, is, and for using the chat that aren't aware, is we've teamed up with Fantasy Football Scout and FPL Merch to bring to you the LIT tournament, the Lounge International Tournament. What we've decided, Bakar, is that a lot of people get disheartened when it comes to Christmas time and going into the new year. Oh, I've no chance of winning FPL. So you see people just leaving Twitter, stop playing the game, all that type of stuff. So what we've decided to do is bring you a tournament. It's free to enter. All the scores will get brought back down to 0 prior to game week 18. Get involved and there'll be one winner that will get a year's subscription to Fantasy Football Scout, an FPL merch mug, a trophy scribed, and also a £100 Amazon gift voucher. Now we understand some people will have chips and all the rest of it, but that's about as fair as we can do it. Everyone starts on 0 on game week 18, and then no one else can join it after that. So you have to be in before game week 18. What about that, Bakar? Is that not bad?
This is a fantastic idea. I mean, it actually helps you to play the game with some sort of interest. I mean, it's very easy to get disheartened in FPL, particularly when you have back-to-back bad successive game weeks. So I'm a huge fan of this idea.
Brilliant. Thank you very much. Boona, over to you, young man. What are we saying about this game week coming up? I'll let you talk it through.
Regarding my team?
Well, we can talk about your team if you want.
You mean regarding the weekend's fixtures, yeah?
What would you want to do, Boona? Do you want to talk about your team with Bakar?
I don't want to talk about my team. No. Yeah, maybe actually. Actually, I could do with some input actually.
Go on then.
If you don't mind, bro.
It's not every day the big man joins us in the studio, is it?
Exactly.
Right,
So at the moment, it Are you going to bring my team up, Lama?
I'll bring up the one that you had last week, yes.
That's absolutely fine, no worries. Whilst that loads, though, Bakar, just to give you an idea, I currently don't have any Liverpool players.
All right.
I know. Yeah, it's been a nightmare for me this season. I'm currently ranked at 2.3 million, and I have used my free hit and my triple captain already, and my first wild card. So I've got my wild card and my bench boost left. And obviously, with the fixture that we've got this weekend, I know I need to bring in some Liverpool, and I could do with some help just deciding which way to go. So at the moment, I have got a midfield, as you can see on the screen, off KDB, Son, Bruno, Souček, and Mount with Kane up front. So I need to decide whether I lose Kane and Mount for to bring in Salah, or if I just bring in Trent for a -4 and get rid of the likes of Maguire and Mount or Giroud or something like that. Which route do you think I should go? So if I was to go without Salah, obviously firstly it's a very risky strategy, but I've got KDB, who, as you guys mentioned on the pod as well this week, is probably the second best captaincy option. Although Brunel seems to think it's Mane. What are your thoughts on that?
I would definitely buy Salah this week. I just think that he could go nuts against West Brom because I noticed West Brom's numbers against Aston Villa and they were absolutely terrible. Um, Knowing that they'd be up against a far superior team in Liverpool at Anfield, I just can't see them coping. I would highly recommend that you get Salah. But um, have you considered selling De Bruyne instead rather than Kane? Because Kane might be useful for you in game week 16 and 17. If I have Kane till now, I would be very hesitant to sell. Whereas with De Bruyne, he's facing Everton and Chelsea in game week 16 and 17. Are you sure you want to sell Kane before Fulham and Leeds?
That's definitely a decision to make. That's interesting. I haven't actually given selling KDB any thought at all, just because I think this week he's playing against the Newcastle side who are atrocious, and I think he could easily score double-digit in that fixture. But I guess it's a combination of needing to think, how the transfer does this week, but also for weeks ahead. And for weeks ahead, I
Exactly.
completely agree with you that KDB probably is a player that needs to go. However, given the fact that I've got no free hit, I wouldn't want to book in another transfer. So that's why I'd be tempted to get rid of Kane. However, that said, I would want Kane for the blank game week as well. So that's why I was thinking going without Salah and just doing a Trent in move and maybe even captaining Trent.
The reason why I don't like you ignoring Salah is because his fixtures even after this game week are really good. Newcastle, I think he's the best captain even next week against Newcastle.
Yeah, you guys
Um,
were saying more so
yeah,
than Spurs assets versus Fulham, just
yeah,
because of
I think
reliability, right?
yeah, absolutely. Because with Spurs, it's actually hard to gauge whether Kane or Son is going to be the best captain. With Salah, you know what you're getting.
Yeah.
So I think Salah is the best captaincy option next week as well. After that, he has Southampton, and then again, his fixtures in the doubles at home against United and West Brom. So I mean, it makes sense to buy him right now. I would definitely buy him this week. Whether you want to sell Kane to fund him or De Bruyne is up to you. But I think I would personally sell De Bruyne because of Kane's fixtures in game week 16 and 17.
Mm.
That's definitely food for thought. Thanks for that, Bakar. Appreciate that.
No worries. Thank you.
Let's. Oh, Bakar, you can have a wee look at my team if you want before we get into the weekend stuff. It's no bad. Is it?
Sure.
You can't tell him it's shit.
Look at that. I've got a full playing 14 players sitting there. Although this annoyed me
Wait.
today.
None of them are any good, but he's got 14 of them.
No, what I was thinking of doing, Bakar, just to put you in the picture, before I found out about Vestergaard, I was thinking of moving out Creswell for Robertson and Haller up front for Silva, because that's the only way I can probably fund it. So my two main strikers would be Calvert-Lewin and Bamford. My midfield 4 or 5 is Souček, and my back three, because I like a 3-5-2, would be Stones, Vestergaard, and Robertson.
All right. So I think so. Who are you planning to sell for Robertson
Creswell.
as well? Is there no other way you can get Robertson?
The only other way, now that Vestergaard potentially is injured, is I could probably do Vestergaard and Haller, but then it would need to be someone like Brewster, which may not be the worst person to have sitting there on the third on the bench. That would probably be the other way of doing it.
I think I'd probably do that. I think that I'd probably do that. Yeah. I don't think Silva is gonna bring any value addition to your team.
Any joy.
So I would just like get Booster, the cheapest option. Make sure you have the funds available for the rest of your team and upgrade Westergaard.
Okay. Thank you very much for that.
No worries, because there's another reason as well. Because when you look at Southampton's fixtures, given that Westergaard might miss this week, after this week they have West Ham, Liverpool, Leicester, and Leeds. I mean, I don't see a clean sheet for Southampton in that run. So you're probably better off getting rid of Westergaard.
Yeah. No, thank you very much for that. We were talking about it last night, and it was between the two. And I think after today's news, as you've just said there, Bakar, Vestergaard's probably the best way to go about it.
We've got another brilliant question from Eric as well in the chat.
Oh, go for it.
Eric, full of brilliant questions tonight. Big man. Mate, you got to come on more often because I love just saying big man. I don't know what it is. What are some of your go-to underlying Opta stats that we managers should focus on? Because obviously we had Luke Jurdy on earlier in the week, and his was the score per 90, wasn't it? And it like blew everyone's mind with that. So, what is yours?
So is he asking what stats should he use from Opta? Is that the question?
Yeah.
Yeah. What ones would you recommend that he uses, Bakar? Yeah.
Okay, when I look at stats for midfielders and forwards, I like looking at three stats mainly: big chances created, and shots inside the box. Those are the three I look at. For defenders, you can look at touches in the final third, shots inside the box, big chances created. So these are the ones I mainly look at. XG is something I don't really base my decisions on, but I kind of like skim through it because it helps me give a rough idea of the attacking prowess of a player, even though I believe the model is slightly skewed, which is why I look at other numbers as well to make sure that the XG isn't skewed in relation to a player's underlying stats.
That's very insightful. I'm quite interested in that because I don't really look at stats, I've always been a eye test, and the guys take the piss out of me for it because I'm like full on eye test, and they're starting to divulge into the whole stats, and yeah, that just baffles me.
I think that
goes straight over my head.
I think that's the thing, Bakar. As you know, the last few weeks, especially, we've had a lot of people that are right into looking at their stats, and it's certainly opened my eyes. Because when I was looking at stats a few seasons ago, it kind of pickled my head a little bit. But now that people like yourself are explaining it to me, I'm certainly finding it a bit easier to cope with. And I think, like what you say, Bakar, you don't need to look at every single intricacy of detail. You just need to pick out the kind of ones that make sense.
Exactly. If you look at every intricate detail, that would drive you crazy. I mean, there's no need to, you need to keep this game simple. It's important to realize that there's no one way to skin the cat. I mean, I know FPL managers. I mean, in the season, I finished fourth in 2014-15, and the guy who finished first, Simon March, he didn't watch a single game of the Premier League. So I mean, wow. He revealed that in an interview. And while there's some others who won FPL later, and they revealed that they used to watch almost every other game at the weekend that was coming live. So I mean, there's no one way of playing this game. I mean, if I uh, like reading some stats and preferring to make my decisions on their basis, that doesn't necessarily mean that is the way to go. I mean, that's just the way I approach things. It could totally be a different approach for you. I mean, there's no one way to skin the cat.
Yeah, and I think that's it, and we've said that a lot on this show, haven't we, boys? That you know that's the good thing about FPL, Bakar, is that there's so many different ways you can play the game, and the main thing is to just enjoy it for the game that it is, and try not to get yourself bogged down by everything, you know, and just enjoy it, you know, and that's why I like that you can just do it so many different ways. So. No.
You got Libra in the chat going, I love how this conversation has gone to strategy and philosophy.
What was
very
that?
meta there. Philosophy.
So we've probably got, Bakar, we've probably got you for about the next 5 minutes, I would say, because I appreciate it's really late where you are. It's a privilege, as I say, to have you on the show. So if there's any final questions that you want to get in for Bakar, please do so now. Buna, do you and Bakar want to pick out any kind of key fixtures for the up-and-coming game week that you're going to be keeping a close eye on, or any recommended games that we should keep an eye on for maybe future game weeks and stuff?
I think Liverpool and West Brom goes without saying, but everyone will already know about that fixture. Are there any other standout fixtures for you this weekend, Bakar?
This week, I think Liverpool and West Brom is the one that stands out, because I'd like to have a closer look at Trent in particular, because I need to look at how what he's looking like. Other than that, I think Leeds Burnley is a game to watch out for, because I'm really fascinated to look at Rafinha, and I want to see how Leeds play against a Burnley side, because I mean, Burnley are the most attacking side in the league. So if Ayling and Dallas don't deliver in this game, then they're practically going to be useless in game week 19 as well. I mean, it's these kind of things that I'm going to watch out for.
Brilliant,
interesting,
smashing. What about you, Buna?
So it's divulging away from the fixtures for 1 second, Bakar. I know you've mentioned, obviously, Salah is a must, and I'm going to give it some thought, but I'm someone that really overthinks, so just bear with me with this. One of the transfers I was thinking was Maguire and Mason Mount to Trent and Rafinha. What do you think about that move, generally speaking? If we take into consideration that this week I could captain KDB, who has a good fixture, and then next 2 weeks I might, knowing me, want to captain a Spurs player against those two easiest oppositions. What do you think?
Yeah, as much as I like the moves you suggested, I think in isolation they look great, but the thing is that for me personally, captaincy is the single most important thing in FPL. So when it comes to captaincy, I don't like risking it at all. So I mean, I would still recommend that you make the Salah transfer.
Yeah.
Had you owned Salah, then making these transfers would have made far more sense, in my opinion. I should prioritize Salah, because if he hauls big, if he gets a brace against West Brom or something, then I mean, then you're going to have a very hard time to claw those points back. So I would still think that that's the route you should take.
No, I appreciate that. Thank you.
But now, don't you worry about it, pal. We'll have a right good look at your team and see how many point hit we can get you to take. Listen, folks, I want to say a massive thank you to you all for joining. I know that we got things going slightly later than scheduled after my PC decided to blow up pretty much before we went live. And then Bakar had to swap to mobile to get us going this evening. But obviously we got there in the end. So thank you very much for all your support. Bakar, before we wrap the stream up, I'm just going to hand it over to yourself just so that you can promote anything that you're getting up to, so that the chat know where to find you, and any last tips that you might have for any of our VIPs that are in the stream just now, please.
Yeah, so my last words are basically this, that I keep getting with all the frenzy regarding the game week 18 and 19 game weeks, blanks and doubles coming up. I keep getting asked this, that what is the right quantity of players to own for these game weeks. I just like to say that there's no set formula, there's no hard or set rule, no hard and fast rule going into these game weeks. Um just just choose the strategy which is the most suitable for your team. Just because I'm picking a strategy or someone else is picking a strategy on a podcast or something, that does not mean that is the suitable one. And secondly, another thing worth noting is that as long as you're getting the right quality of players heading into these game weeks, the quantity of players won't matter. As long as you have the right players, even 6 or 7 players in game week 18 will serve the purpose. 7 to 8 double game week players in game week 19 will serve the purpose. So don't exactly focus on those game weeks alone. It's also important to keep an eye on game week 15, 16, 17. I don't want FPL managers to sort of suffer from tunnel vision or something. So that's my last advice to them. As far as my own content is concerned, I post daily reviews on weekly reviews on my Twitter, Big Man Bakar. You can follow me there. Other than that, I post with the same username on Instagram. I'm also appearing on the YouTube show called the FPL Wire. So if you want to catch more of me, you can see me there. Thanks for having me. It was an absolute pleasure. I had a great time. Thank you for making me feel so comfortable.
No, the pleasure is all ours, and as I say, on behalf of the VIPs, Bakar, it's much appreciated you being here with us this evening. Thank you very, very much. Who's wanting to wrap things up this evening? You or Matt?
Matt's turn.
Okay,
let Lama do it. You keep throwing us in it all the time. How about we throw it back at you?
Yeah, go on, Lama.
All right then. Thanks. Folks, thank you very much for joining us this evening. It's been a privilege as always. If you haven't already liked the stream, please do so. It's greatly appreciated. If you haven't subscribed, please consider it. This is typically what we get up to normally on a Thursday evening, but since it was the run up to Christmas, we thought we would bring you 2 live guests. Buna's been telling me that we are pretty booked up now until kind of the middle of February, so be assured, 2021, we ain't slowing down. We've got a load of guests that will be coming to join us in the new year. As for this year, we wish you all a very Merry Christmas, but remember, please keep yourselves safe. I think that's about it. Yeah, like and subscribe, and we'll catch you all soon. Cheery bye.
Bye.
See you later. Thanks, Bakar.
Okay, no worries. Pleasure.
Better sounds no one ever heard. I wish I had a better voice to sing some better words. I wish I found some chords in an order that was new. I wish I didn't have to rhyme every time I sang. I was told when I get older all my friends would shrink.